Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto's sisters held the Kyuubi's power and turned against him part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. I wonder where Ka-san and Tu-san are. A male voice said aloud. The voice belonged to a young boy, around the age of 5, sitting on top of tall building. He had spiky blonde hair and dark blue eyes. On his cheeks were 3 whisker-like birthmarks each. He was wearing a black shirt with an orange spiral in the middle of the chest and burnt orange shorts. On his feet were some worn sandals. He was looking at the full moon in the night sky, with a pout on his lips. Naruto-kun, an elderly voice said from behind the now named Naruto. The blonde turned around and saw an old man, with gray hair looking at him. He was wearing a male blue kimono top and black pants, on his feet were sandals. What are you doing up here all alone? I'm waiting for Ka-san and Tu-san. They told me they were going to get my baby sisters but that was hours ago. The little boy whined, causing the old man to chuckle. Sarutobi Jii, do you know where babies come from? The caused the old man to stop his chuckling and nearly choke on his pipe. Why do you ask? Sarutobi questioned nervously. Because I was wondering if it's in a faraway place. I mean, Itachi said he had to wait for his Ka-san and Tu-san for a long time too when they brought his little brother home. Sarutobi let out a sigh of relief and coughed. Well, I'll tell you when you are older. For now, let's go get you some dinner. What do you say to some ramen? Yay, ramen. Naruto ran towards the stairs, with the old man chuckling behind him. When he was about to reach the stairs, the blonde boy stopped dead in his tracks. His body went rigid, and from behind the old man could see was trembling. Naruto-kun, what's wrong? The air, it feels angry, the boy said. It feels like what? It feels like something bad is about to happen. After the blonde whispered that a red light filled the air, followed by an primal roar. That was the night the Kyuubi no Kitsune was released onto Konoha. 2 years later, Naruto Uzumaki, formerly Naruto Namikaze, was sitting inside a classroom. His chin was in the palm of his right hand as he rested his elbow on the table in front of him. He was wearing a black jacket over a dark orange shirt, and black pants. He had matching orange gloves on his hands, with blue ninja sandals on his feet. On his forehead was a Konoha forehead protector. On his hip, attached to his belt, was a pouch that was full of various ninja tools like shuriken, steel wire and several explosive notes. His eyes lazily watched the room full of students. I wonder how many of here will actually reach the level of the ninja I see every day. Naruto thought to himself. He was broken out of his thoughts when the seat next to him was dragged back and someone sat next to him. Looking towards the newcomer Naruto took in his appearance. Next to him sat a boy with black hair done with a small ponytail in the back. He wore a black shirt with a high collar and gray pants. He too had a pouch attached to his hip, and a forehead protector. He crossed his fingers as he sat down and watched the others. The two sat quietly for a few moments, before Naruto spoke. Hey Itachi. Yes Naruto-san, Itachi replied. This was Itachi Uchiha, the genius of the Uchiha clan, and current heir to the family. Do you think it was right of us to skip ahead of all our other classmates? I mean, we are only 7 years old after all, and all these other people are like 11 or 12 already. I think we made the right choice. Do you want to stay behind with them for another 5 years? Naruto rolled his eyes but nodded. Yeah, I just hope the team we are put in will like us. As long as you don't mouth off at them, then we will be alright, Itachi said with a smirk. Haha, very funny, Naruto replied at the jibe. Then I hope your group won't hate you for bringing along your fangirls. Naruto smirked as he saw his friend shiver. Do not bring them up again. Ah, is Itachi still scarred from what happened last time? You left me to them, they tried to pull out my hair. They also touched me in places I never knew I had. This time Naruto cringed. He really didn't mean to leave Itachi to the annoying masses of females that tend to follow them, but when it comes to choosing your own life or that of your friends, against fangirls it's better to give them what they want. Ouch. Yeah. Sorry about that. Itachi glared at him from the corner of his eye before looking forward again as their teacher walked in. Class, today we are here to assign you to your squads. You will be with these people in the group for a long time. So do come to trust them. No matter what happens from here on, I will always be proud to be your teacher. I also would like to note that, even though two of the students here, the teacher paused in her speech and looked at Naruto and Itachi who were sitting in the back, are younger than all of you. If they are in your team, treat them as you would your other teammates. Now let us begin. Team 1 Iruka Yumino. After that Naruto drowned out the rest of the speech seeing as his older friend, Iruka, wouldn't be in the same squad as him. It would be a few minutes later that his attention came back to his sensei. Squad 9 is Itachi Uchiha, Yugao Azuki and Naruto Uzumaki. Your sensei is Makoto Uchiha. This made Naruto look over to his friend. Did you know about this? Naruto asked. I didn't. Ka-san said nothing to me about her being our squad leader, let alone both of us in the same team. Do you know who the third person in our group is? It's the one staring at us right now. Itachi pointed. Near the front of the class was a girl with long purple hair and she had worn a purple shirt and black bicycle shorts. Her forehead protector was wrapped around her left bicep. Naruto saw that she was looking at them and waved. The girl seemed surprised for a moment, then cautiously waved back. Hopefully she won't mind us being her teammates. Yes, now let us wait. After calling all the names, the sensei stopped talking and had the students get into their group to speak to each other. Since Naruto and Itachi were already sitting by each other they didn't have to stand up, but they did wait for Yugao to sit next to them. She walked up the aisle until she was in front of them. So you two are my teammates? Yup, Naruto said with an energetic smile. He put his hand out for her to shake. Naruto Uzumaki, nice to meet you senpai. Let's work hard, TT Ibeo. Naruto stopped talking for a minute then slammed his head down before she could shake it. He let out a groan from his position. Are you okay Naruto-san? Yugao asked nervously. I hope he isn't crazy. Next to her Itachi was chuckling. I did it again didn't I? Yes you did Naruto, Itachi replied, still chuckling. What are you two talking about? Yugao asked, slightly freaked out. You see, Yugao-san, Naruto here has an odd verbal tic. He tends to say, TT Ibeo, when he gets excited, Itachi explained. Back then when we were still 5 years old, he kept saying it. After a certain incident he vowed to never say that phrase if he could help it. A certain incident. I helped Itachi out during one of his fangirl episodes, Naruto grumbled. He sat up straighter in his chair and frowned. I distracted some of the girls last year, and accidentally shouted out that I'd help him out. I said, TT Ibeo at the end of the whole awesome speech I gave. Then it happened. What? He accidentally got his own fangirls. They thought he was cute, charming and loved his verbal tic. Itachi chuckled again, a small smile on his face. It lessened my group about a third or so. Don't remind me. They swarmed me last week when we got our forehead protectors. You had Makoto-sama to help you, but I had to run into the trees. The blonde cried, as anime tears fell from his face. Even now Yugao was laughing alongside Itachi. Squad 9, a feminine voice. The trio stopped their antics, and looked over to the front of the room. Standing there was their leader, Makoto Uchiha, in standard Junin gear, black ninja pants, ninja sweater, shirt, Junin flak jacket and a forehead protector. His hair was similar to that of Itachi's, that of course is due to her being his mother. Would you come with me please? Naruto nodded and stood up, followed by Itachi and Yugao. Hey Naruto, a voice said. Naruto stopped as they walked and looked at the source of the voice. A teen with a scar running across his nose and was more slightly tanned was looking at him. What do you want Iruka? Naruto smirked back. Train hard. When the Chunin exams come, Let's go together, Iruka said with a smirk. You do know that if that does happen, we'll be enemies, right? URK. Iruka stopped talking and blushed in embarrassment. Well, I'm off, Iruka. I'll see you around, and if we do meet at the Chunin exams again, I'll see you on the battlefield. Iruka smiled at him. That's Iruka senpai to you, brat. Naruto waved it off and walked out with his team. Minutes later, the group found themselves sitting in an empty training field. Okay, I'd like us to introduce ourselves to one another, Makoto said with a smile. But you already know us, Makoto-sama, Naruto whined. It's supposed to be so that Azuki-senpai could learn more about us, Naruto, Itachi said. Naruto looked confused for a moment, and closed his eyes to think. From her position, it looked like Naruto was some sort of fox. After a moment, Naruto nodded. Okay, I get it. Sorry, Makoto-sama. Why don't you go first? Alright then. My name is Makoto Uchiha, and I am Junin. I was also part of the Konoha police force until I decided to train kids like you. I like my family, and I really don't have anything I do not like. Wait. Naruto started to speak after she finished. Who's taking care of Sasuke while you're with us? I mean, he's only 2, ain't he? Yes, I know he is only 2, Naruto-kun. However, since we will be more likely doing D-rank missions for a few weeks, I can take him with us. Naruto face faulted at her sweet and innocent smile at the mention of D-rank missions. Yugao wanted to laugh and Itachi just shook his head in exasperation. He forgot how much of an idiot Naruto could be from time to time. Why don't you go next, Azuki-san? Hi, Uchiha-sensei, Yugao replied respectfully. Oh, please don't call me that. Call me Makoto. But, Yugao knew she would lose this argument, so she nodded her head. Hi, Makoto-sensei. I am Yugao Azuki. I don't dislike a lot of things, but I like looking at the moon, and a certain person. She said with a blush. I dream to be part of the Anbu one day and help out our village be at its very best. That is good to hear. Itachi-kun, why don't you go next? My name is Itachi Uchiha, of the Uchiha clan. I like to visit traditional cafes, and I like to eat cabbages or onigiri with seaweed in it. I dislike steak. My favorite word is peace. My dream is to one day see my little brother surpassing me. Ah, ain't that sweet? Naruto gushed. Itachi hit him on the back of the head before looking back at his mother. Naruto-kun, please don't interrupt others when they talk, Makoto scolded, although only lightly. Hi, Makoto-sama. Well, you're up next, Naruto-kun. The blonde nodded and stood up. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like training, reading some books Sarutobi Jii gave me, watering plants and my friends. My favorite foods are ramen and red bean soup, although I hate fresh vegetables. I dislike those who abandon other people. My dream is, Naruto stopped talking before smiling. What is your dream, Naruto-san? Yugao asked. He looked towards Hokage Monument, before pointing at their faces. I one day plan to surpass all the previous Hokages, TT Ibeo. After a second, Naruto groaned, while Itachi chuckled in the background. Damn, that's the second time today. Ah, but it's cute, Naruto-kun, Makoto giggled along with Yugao. Shinobis aren't supposed to be cute. We're supposed to be precise, deadly and cool, Naruto grumbled. That is true. Well, let us meet tomorrow. We will have team exercises starting at 8 in the morning. Be on time. After that, we will start doing some D-rank missions. Itachi, let us go home. Sasuke needs to be fed soon, and I don't trust that Shisui will feed him the right amount. Wait, you mean you aren't going to do the second test on us? Naruto asked, surprised. What second test? Yugao asked. There is a second test, Makoto-sensei. Well, I was supposed to give you one, but I know you three will work well. If not, Naruto and Itachi can easily put you into their formations, Makoto said with a smile. Turning to her son, the black-haired woman started to walk away. Itachi, let's go. Naruto-kun can explain to Yugao what I mean. Haika-san, her son agreed. Turning to his teammates, he bowed to them before leaving. It was nice to meet you, Azuki-san. Let us work well together. That left the other 7-year-old boy with the 12-year-old. What do they mean by your formations? Yugao asked again. Naruto turned to her and smiled. Well, Itachi and I were really good friends. Ever since we were kids. Hell, I can't think of a time when I hadn't hung out with him. I was even there when he first got his Sharingan. He almost got killed by a bear due to my indecision and it accidentally opened. But that's not what you want to hear, right? The purple-haired girl nodded. You see, due to me and Itachi always hanging out, we also sparred a lot. Not only that, we also learned to fight alongside each other. We learned how to complement each other in our fighting styles. What do you mean? Yugao was now curious. She wanted to know more about her teammates in order to get along with them better. The two of them were walking back into the more residential part of the village as they spoke. You see, he and I complement each other. I'm more about strength, stamina and taijutsu, more of hand-to-hand kind of guy. While Itachi is much better at doing hand seals, genjutsu and speed. It doesn't mean we are horrible at it. I mean, I can do simple genjutsus and break free from them. I can't do complicated ones like Itachi. While I can last longer in fights compared to him, the blonde explained. I see, that still doesn't explain the whole formation thing. It's basically we do something to complement the other person's attack. If Itachi uses a genjutsu, I have to take it up close and personal. If I use a wind type attack, he uses a fire type. Simple, no? Ah, where do two 7-year-olds get time to do this? The blonde shrugged at the purple-haired girl's question. If you read as much as I do and get trained as much as Itachi does, we have a lot of free time. That is why he and I are in your group. We advanced faster than anyone else in our class. Although it would be nice to have some of them with us. Yugao was about to speak again, except eruption of noise came from down the street. Looking down the road, she saw a bunch of people surrounding a couple, with babies in their arms. One was a blonde man with spiky hair and blue eyes, just like Naruto's. He wore the same thing as to what Makoto wore, except he had a white cloak over it with orange spike liking the bottom. He too wore a forehead protector on his forehead. Standing next to him was a woman with long red hair and gray eyes. She had on a white short-sleeve kimono top, with a black skirt. Black stockings were on her legs, and she too had a forehead protector, just like every other ninja. In their arms were babies, both of which were girls. One was blonde and blue-eyed, just like the father, while the other had red hair and gray eyes like their mother. Oh my, the Hokage's family. Yugao gasped. I didn't know they walked down this way. Of course they do, Naruto said with a grumble, although Yugao didn't seem to notice it. They live down the street. Largest house at the end. Really? How did you know that? Passed it a couple of times. I mean, who wouldn't know the home of Minato and Kushina Namikaze? As well as the heroes of the village, Yuri and Tsubaki, the blonde said sarcastically. This time Yugao did notice the tone. Is something wrong, Uzumaki-san? It seems like you have something against the Hokage. I have nothing against him. Really, I don't. Looking past them, Naruto sighed before putting his hands into his pockets. I'll see you tomorrow, Yugao-senpai. I'll be heading home. Naruto walked towards the group with Yugao watching him. As Naruto walked, he neared the group. He could see them laughing with the villagers and it made him feel sick. Trying to walk by the side, Naruto attempted not to be seen but failed. Uzumaki-san, a male voice called out to him. Naruto beat down the growl in his throat as he turned towards the people looking at him. Putting on a strained smile, he looked at the family in front of him. The villagers were looking between the two and noticed that both the Hokage and Naruto looked similar to each other. Good afternoon, Hokage-sama, Namikaze-sama, he greeted the family. How are you and your family today? We are doing well, thank you for asking, Uzumaki-kun, Kushina replied back with a smile. Again, Naruto had to force down the growl threatening to come out of his mouth. How are you today? Naruto smirked, but had to resist the urge of rolling his eyes. I just became a ninja of Konoha, he answered, tapping the thing on his forehead. As of today, I will be working under you, Hokage-sama. Please treat me well. I will, Minato replied this time. You should run along now, your parents must be waiting for you at home. Naruto was happy that at least one of his hands were in his pockets, so no one could see him making a fist at the comment. Yeah, they just might be. Goodbye, Hokage-sama, Namikaze-sama. After that, Naruto turned on his heel and went down the road in the opposite direction of the Namikaze family and household. After walking a few blocks away, Naruto let out a frustrated growl and slammed his fist into the wall. That freakin' prick. He then winced in pain before looking at his hand. TCH, Shizune won't be happy about this. Nursing his hand, he continued to walk down the street, greeting other people as he did. He kept walking until Naruto reached a one-story house that was rather plain. A white, light gray paint had fitted the building. It had a large yard in the front, as well as no neighbor on either side. Going down the beaten path, the blonde ninja fished out his key and opened the front door. Again, nothing out of the ordinary was inside the living. There was a couch, a bookshelf, a few potted plants and a coffee table. He walked by a plain kitchen, with all the appliances that were just necessary to cook, and out to the back door. That was where most of the ordinary things stopped. The backyard was built like a training field. There were targets off in the distances, a few test dummies for fighting, a small pond to practice walking on water or doing water jutsus. Basically, a ninja's dream backyard. There was also a forest that seemed to extend from where the backyard stopped. Taking a seat on a bench nearby the door, Naruto sat down and sighed. He just sat there for a while, looking at the horizon, not knowing how much time had passed. What's wrong with you, brat? A mature woman's voice asked. Naruto sighed for like the 100th time that day. What's up, Ba-chan? He asked the woman who took a seat next to him. He received a small punch to his head when after a few seconds. Ow. The 7-year-old he looked at the woman. She was wearing a gray shirt that showed a fair amount of her very large. Over it there was a green coat trimmed with black, and if one were to look at the back they would see the kanji for the gamble. She wore black ninja pants and high heels. Her dark blonde hair was down into twin tails, and she had a diamond-shaped mark on her forehead. What was that for? I told you to stop calling me that. At least call me Tsunade, the one now called Tsunade said. I am the heiress to the Senju clan after all. Now what is wrong with you? What do you mean? The younger blonde asked, feigning ignorance, just like the little kid he is. You're staring out into space again when I got here and your hand is bleeding. Don't kid with me, what happened? It was all quiet for a moment before Naruto spoke again. I saw them again. Naruto growled, yet he could feel some pinpricks of tears in his eyes. They looked like the perfect little family. One that I should be part of. And after that, Naruto started crying. Tsunade moved closer to him and put him in a hug. There, Naruto, it's okay, Tsunade cooed. It's not. Naruto wailed. I don't get it. I don't see why Tu-san kicked me out. I don't get why Ka-san doesn't know me anymore. I just don't get it. It all started when those girls were born. The two stayed like that for a few minutes, Naruto bawling his eyes out and Tsunade trying to comfort him. When he finally calmed down, Naruto moved away from her and sighed. Thanks, Ba. He stopped when he heard her growl, I mean Tsunade-chan. I really needed that. You always get like this when they talk to you. I keep telling you to avoid them. I can't do that now since I'm a ninja, Tsunade-chan. Naruto sighed again and Tsunade got a tick mark on her head. She gave him a light slap on the back of his head, but with her strength caused him to stumble off the chair. You sighed much for a 7-year-old. You should go out there and have fun. You'll be stuck doing chores, I mean, D-rank missions for some time, so I suggest that you have as much fun as you can. Don't let your former family get in the way of you life. Yeah, I guess you're right. You know I'm right. Now let me see that wound on your hand before Shizune comes back. You know how she fusses over you when you get hurt. Naruto showed her his hand while she did a healing jutsu on it. She should get a boyfriend already. I swear she's 17 and single. Must be bad for her. Why do you think that? Ero-sensei told me to think like that. I see. I'll have to have a talk with him when he comes to visit tonight. Ero-sensei is coming. The blonde asked excitedly. Maybe he'll teach me a new jutsu today. Don't get too excited, brat. After the beating I'll give him for peeking in on the onsens again, he might not be able to teach you anything. Ah, Ba-chan. Don't hurt him too bad. Another tick mark appeared on her forehead. Don't call me that, you brat. Hours later. It was close to midnight and Naruto was asleep in his bed. This was of course after his surrogate sister, Shizune, berate him for hurting himself. Then a dinner which was interrupted by Jiraiya, the legendary Toad Sage, or as Naruto liked to call him, Ero-sensei. After a beating, the old man tried to teach him a jutsu which Naruto couldn't get just yet but promised he'll work on it. He cried again, you know, Tsunade said to Jiraiya as the two peeked into his room. The man behind her sighed. I wish I didn't bring up the prophecy to Minato, Jiraiya muttered. Maybe if I didn't do that, Naruto would still be with them. Turning over to them who Tsunade would consider her best friend now, she saw the regret in his eyes. I just thought that he should know about it since it might concern his kids. I agree with you there, but I didn't think Minato would go as far as disowning Naruto there. I also wonder what happened to Kushina. It seems like something happened to her on that day too. As if she doesn't even know she has a son, the Toad Sage said. I think something happened that night. Something that forced both Kushina and Minato to act differently towards Naruto. What do you mean? Tsunade asked. There is no way Kushina would do something like abandon Naruto. She was so excited when she gave birth to him and was happy raising him those first 5 years. Something, or someone, must have changed the way they think. You mean you think someone attacked them that night? Tsunade gasped. Yes. I think it is one of Danzo's men, probably a Yamanaka, but I can't be too sure. When did you come up with a time to think of this? When I wasn't looking for Orochimaru for the past 2 years, I've been trying to think of a reason as to why they would abandon him. That is the best I could come up with. The two stayed silent for a while before Jiraiya cleared his throat. I think I'll be going now. Visit Minato and have a word with him. Maybe he can shed some light on this situation. Alright, go do that. Do I get a parting kiss? Jiraiya made a kissing face, but received a punch instead. Pervert, are you still trying to get with me? Maybe. Jiraiya laughed. Also, I plan to visit the old man, after visiting Minato. How is he doing, by the way? I don't know. The fact that he took a blow from the Kyuubi after protecting Naruto from an attack surprised me. I'm happy he's still alive, but it will take some time for him to be up to snuff. Heck, he might be more limber than before. That's great to hear. Well, see you later, Tsunade Heim. Walking down the hall, Jiraiya opened a window and jumped out into the night sky. As he did though, there were some thoughts in his mind. Thoughts about Naruto and what his future may hold for him. How do they keep doing it? A Chunin at the mission desk asked. It was only 2 weeks into the team's formation, but most people would have not expected such enthusiasm from Team 9. Over the course of 2 weeks, Naruto and his group done exactly 53 D-rank missions, which was surprising seeing as not a lot of people expected the group with 2 7-year-olds to get that much work done. They thought they would complain the entire time. Most of them didn't expect them to go above and beyond the other current groups of rookie genin. How come they don't take forever to catch that damned cat like all the groups? He whispered to the person next to him. Why they were whispering amongst themselves was the fact that the trio was now holding a light brown furred cat with a red ribbon on its tail. Now the reason the entire two Chunin were whispering amongst themselves was the fact that this cat was Tora, the daimyo's wife's cat, was near uncatchable. It always puts up a fight when people try to catch it, usually taking hours to do for a simple D-rank mission. However, this time it is different. This time the Naruto, Itachi and Yugao's team only took 20 minutes, and without any indication of a struggle. Who's a nice little cat? You are, Naruto cooed at the cat in his arms. The cat was happily responding back, lightly nuzzling into the blonde's arm. Naruto, would you please stop doing that? Itachi sighed next to the blonde. It's not like it is a summon animal that can understand human speech. I'll do what I like, Naruto said with a small glare. He then turned to the cat and said, right, Tora-chan. The cat mewed affectionately. Itachi turned to the two women in his group. Do something about this, please. Ah, but he gets so cute when he's with that cat, Makoto replied. She giggled when the blonde gently nuzzled the cat back as it did it with him. And even though I hate that cat and its entire family for making my genin days a living hell, at least Naruto seems to enjoy it. I'll never get why that cat seems to be attracted to Uzumaki-san, Yugao sighed. It won't even attack him. It hissed at us though. When they got to the desk, Naruto presented the cat to a fat lady in a purple dress. Oh, you brought back my baby. The daimyo's wife shouted. She then proceeded to place the cat between her and give it a suffocating hug. The cat struggled in her grasp. From the other side of the table, watched horrified at what was happening, Makoto was laughing internally, while Itachi and Yugao were just relieved they didn't have to chase that cat again. Ms. I don't think you should. Naruto started to talk, to tell the woman to not do that to the cat, for that was the reason it kept running away. He was refrained from talking, when the daimyo's wife put him into a chest-crushing hug as well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Naruto's arms were flailing as he was being suffocated by the woman. Ma'am, if you please release our boy, it seems like he's losing his breath, an elderly voice said from the table. The woman did just that. Oh my, I'm so sorry. The daimyo's wife apologized. Well, I'll be going now, Hokage Dono. Thank you for the help. The old voice chuckled again. I'm the former Hokage, madam. Right now I'm just Sarutobi Hiruzen, mission administrator, Sarutobi said from the desk. The woman smiled and left the room. People noticed that the cat gave Naruto a pleading look as she left. When she was out of earshot, Naruto spoke, she's going to kill that cat if she keeps doing that. It is not up to us what she does with her pets, Naruto-kun, Sarutobi told the blonde. I know Sarutobi Jii, I know. He was then whacked on the back of the head by Itachi. Hey, what was that for? Please forgive Naruto of his rudeness, Hokage-sama. He tends to forget who he is in front of, Itachi apologized. The former Hokage just smiled. It is fine, Itachi-kun. Naruto and I have been friends for a long time, so he tends to call me that and I allow it, Sarutobi replied. He then turned to Makoto, another successful mission I see. Hi, Hokage-sama. That would make it your 53 completed D-rank mission in over 2 weeks. I must say I'm impressed. The only ones who could compete with your group is Iruka Yumino, Katetsu Hagane and Izumo Kamizuki's group, but even then they only have about half as much as you done. Looking at the 3 kids in front of him, the former Hokage lifted up a brow. Are you guys getting in the necessary training? We've got teamwork down, so no need to worry about us, Sarutobi Jii. Naruto boasted. It will take some time to fully incorporate Azuki-san into our methods, but we will manage, Itachi replied. These two have been training hard, by themselves and with me, Yugao admitted. I was surprised to see that they were so skilled already. Even though I'm older, I think I'm the weakest in our group. She then felt 2 hands on her shoulders. She looked at behind her and saw her 2 teammates smiling at her, although she had to look a bit down since the 2 were still rather short. Don't think like that, Yugao-senpai, Naruto started. Like we said at the start of our team formation, we'll help you get stronger, Itachi finished. Guys, Yugao whispered. Besides, you're not a training junkie like my son or Naruto-kun, Makoto said from the background, with Yugao smiling at her. Okawa-san, Makoto-sama. Itachi uncharacteristically, and Naruto whined at the little insult. Sarutobi gave a smile at the group, seeing as they got along well. Taking a drag from his pipe, he let out a deep breath. It is safe to assume that your team is above doing D-rank missions now, seeing as you'll only speed through them. I think it is time that you have your first C-rank mission. Really? Naruto asked with a smile. Do we get to go beat up some bandits? Save people? Play the hero? Calm down, Naruto-kun. It is nothing like that. You are going off to the tea country and take care of a girl for a week. Ooh, is she a princess? No, she's just a girl. Naruto deflated by it that. We'll take it, Hokage-sama. When do we leave? Makoto asked. The old man looked at the clock on the wall before turning back to her. If you want, you can leave within the next 2 hours. It will take you about a day on foot to reach the building. It is on the border of fire and tea country, Sarutobi informed them. They all nodded their heads in understanding. Good, you are dismissed to get your supplies ready. They all bowed and were about to leave, until the former Hokage spoke again. Naruto-kun, I'd like a word with you. Oh sure, Gigi, the blonde kid replied. He turned to the rest of his team and nodded at them. I'll meet with you guys later at the gate. They all nodded there and left the room. So what do you want to talk to me about? Let's do this on a walk, Naruto-kun. It has been a while since I had a good stroll with you. The old man stood up and they began to walk out of the building. The two strolled around the more quieter parts of the village, near a park. So Naruto-kun, how have you been? I've been well, Sarutobi Jii, Naruto answered. I mean, I've been really busy with all these things happening, but it's been pretty fun with Itachi and them. Heck, it has been great with them. That's good, Naruto-kun. I'm glad you like your team. I was the one who suggested it to you, father, to put you in that team. I have no father. He is just the Hokage-sama to me, the boy frowned. The old man frowned but nodded his head. I forgot you don't consider him your father anymore. After he disowned you, it hasn't been the same, hasn't it? Yeah, it hurts just to see them, you know. I mean, I should be part of that picture too, smiling with them and having fun. Yet, I don't know what happened that day. I wish I knew what happened. I do too, Naruto-kun, I do too. I'm also wondering what happened to your mother, since it seems like she doesn't know who you are. That, along with the law that your father had instated after you being disowned, makes it impossible for anyone to tell her how you are related to her. I do not see why he made your disowning and your origins a SS class secret. He won't let anyone say a thing about it unless they want to be executed. Even I have to abide by it. The two sat down on a bench in the park and just looked around. That makes no sense, and I don't like it because it makes no sense. I agree. He then turned towards the 7-year-old, who seemed to be older than he should be with the stress being put on him by own father. You know, a few days ago, Kushina came in and asked about you. Really? Naruto asked, perking up. Yes, she was asking about who you are, wondering why you have her old last name. With your father being in Tay room, I couldn't say anything. So I had to lie and said you were a long-lost relative, a survivor of the Whirlpool country, who had been found after the war. Oh, the blonde deflated. I'm sorry. It's okay, Gigi. I know you mean well and have to follow the laws as well. I just wish. Naruto sighed. I just wished there weren't any laws like that. Just so I can be with mom and dad again. He then felt a hand on his head and saw the Hokage smiling at him. Your way of thinking is far too old for one such as young as yourself, Sarutobi smiled. Go and get ready for the mission, Naruto-kun. Try and be friends with the girl you are going to take care of. Maybe you'll make a new friend. Naruto smiled ruefully and swatted away the old man's hand. You don't have to tell me that, Sarutobi Jii. I like making new friends. He got off the bench and began to run out of the park. See ya later, Sarutobi Jii. Goodbye, Naruto-kun. The former Hokage smiled as he watched his surrogate grandson run out of the park. His smile disappeared as he thought of his successor's doing. Minato-kun, just what are you thinking, doing this to your own son? I'll have to ask Jiraiya-kun if he knows anything about it. He then turned back and started his walk back towards the Hokage's building to give out more work. Naruto, on the other hand, was running back home so he can pack up. As he ran, he stopped for he saw a familiar face. Hana-chan. He shouted out, getting the attention of another kid. In front of him, a girl around his age with brown hair in a ponytail was looking at him. She had on a gray shirt and black pants, with sandals. On her cheeks were two red tattoos in the shape of fangs. Standing next to her was a feral-looking woman, with the exact same tattoos on her cheeks, and was wearing a Junin uniform. Around them was one big dog with an eye patch over its right eye and three puppies. Good morning Hana-chan, Sume-sama. Ah Naruto-kun, how are you? Hana Inuzuka asked as he approached her. I'm doing great. When did you get these puppies Hana-chan? She got them today, Sume Inuzuka replied. I decided that she would need a lot more time with her dogs since she has 3. So instead of giving them to her at 11 or 12 as I usually do, I gave them to her at 7. Ah, that's so cool. Naruto replied with a smile. So what are you up to now Naruto-kun? Hana wondered. Don't you have a mission today since you are a genin now, Mr. I'm so smart and talented that I graduated 5 years earlier. Hey, I'm not the only one who graduated earlier, Itachi did too remember. I know, but you're a closer friend to me than he is. So do you have a mission today? I do. Sarutobi Jii thought it would be nice of us to start doing C-rank missions since we seem to breeze through the D-rank ones rather easily, Naruto explained. Wow, on a C-rank mission already. I remember it took my group about a month of being a genin to get our first C-rank missions. You guys are rather fast, Sume praised. Naruto chuckled and scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. You're so lucky Naruto-kun. You already get to leave the village. I can't even do that yet, Hana pouted. Don't worry Hana-chan, you'll be doing these things too eventually. So do your best in the academy and maybe you'll catch up to me and Itachi, Naruto stated. Yeah right, you guys are too good. Even if you don't say it, you guys were always the best in the academy. He, true. We'll see. Well I have to go, see you Hana-chan. Sume-sama. Naruto bowed to both of them and ran towards his home. The two Inuzuka women stared at him as he ran away. Hey, still as energetic as ever. Reminds me of his mother, Sume smirked. His mother? You mean Ku? Hana was interrupted when her mother placed a hand on her mouth. We can't say that out loud remember. Why? The Hokage said not to. I don't like what is happening. Me neither, but we can't do anything about it. A day later. After getting together, Team 9 had set out for their mission. There was no trouble on the road they were on and everything seemed to go fine. They had camped out that night, each person taking watch. Itachi went first, then Naruto, then Yugao and Makoto. Itachi and Naruto went first since they would tire more easily since they were younger, not accustomed to staying up late. Makoto also asked one of the younger Uchiha members to look after Sasuke for her, knowing that her husband would forget. Then after a day of walking, and Naruto constantly asking if they were there yet, the squad finally made it out to a small house in a forest, just a couple of kilometers away from a small town. Well group, here we are, Makoto stated. This is the house of a one Sandai Osama. We are her to babysit, protect the girl he is taking care of. Couldn't he get some babysitter from somewhere else? Naruto asked with a frown on his face. Well, he would have if he wasn't going to be gone for a month. Kami, this is just like another D-rank mission except outside of the village. Now Naruto-kun we've accepted this mission and as ninja of Konoha we are going to do our work. Got it? Makoto asked. Hi Makoto-sama, I don't have to like it though. You didn't like the walk over here, I guess it's to be expected you won't like the person either, Itachi said with a roll of his eyes as he crossed his arms over his chest. I wonder what this girl would be like, Yugao said aloud. I just wonder if I will have time to nap, Naruto mumbled. Haven't had one of those in a while. Oh great, you sound like a Nara, Itachi mumbled. There is nothing wrong with the Naras, you know. Of course there isn't anything wrong with them. Just their worth ethic is a bit under par, however, they are geniuses. Boys please stop arguing, Makoto sighed. We get enough of this at the village. I don't want to make a bad impression on the clients. How about this? Itachi, if you don't argue with Naruto during the time we are here, I'll take you to that cafe near the border of Wind Country that you were always asking to go to. Naruto, I'll buy you a week's worth of ramen. At that, both boys stopped arguing. How do you do it, Makoto-sensei? Yugao asked. I love both boys very much. I even treat Naruto as if he was my own son. That is why I know how to handle them easily. She then turned to the two boys who seemed mesmerized at her offer. Let's go and greet our client. The boys nodded and the group walked over to the cabin. Makoto knocked on the door and waited for it to open. When it did, a man who looked to be in his mid-40s was standing there. He had brown, graying hair and wore a business suit. He had on a small pair of glasses. He smiled at them. Hello, are you Sandayu Asama-san? Makoto asked politely. Ah, yes, I am. You must be the ninja from Konoha sent, right? Sandayu asked. Yes. I am Makoto Uchiha. This is my squad consisting of Itachi, my son, Naruto Uzumaki, the blonde one, and Yugao Azuki, the only girl in our team. We will be taking care of your charge for the next few days. Thank you for coming. Please, come in. I'll call her down. The group entered and saw that the place was furnished modestly, with a few chairs, a couch, and a table. The kitchen was attached to the living room and had just the bare necessities in it. To Naruto, it sort of reminded him of the opening in his and Tsunade's house. Yukie, come down here and meet the people who will stay with you while I'm doing business. Naruto looked up the stairs that lead to a second story and saw a girl their age coming down the stairs. She had on a pink kimono wrapped with a red obi. Her hair was a dark shade of blue, almost black. She was smiling at them. Hello, I am Yukie Fujikaze, she greeted. Naruto looked at her and noticed something off about her. Please treat me well. We will. Let me introduce you to my team. This is my son Itachi, he should be the same age as you, she pointed to her son. Itachi gave her a nod, to which Yukie gave a bow. The girl standing next to him is Yugao Azuki. She is older than you by 5 years. Nice to meet you, Fujika-san, Yugao bowed. Nice to meet you too, Azuki-san, Yukie returned the greeting. And the last one is Naruto Uzumaki, Makoto introduced the blonde. It's nice to meet you as well, Uzumaki-san, Yukie bowed again. Naruto kept staring at her intensely. Is there something on my face? There's something wrong with it, Naruto said bluntly. Excuse me. There's something I don't like about your face. Naruto. The rest of his group shouted at him simultaneously. Don't be rude. He then looked at them. What? I'm just telling the truth. What a way to make a first impression, Itachi mumbled. Next to him Yugao nodded. Makoto shook her head. I'm sorry for his mouth, he usually isn't like this at all. Most of the time he only mouths off at Itachi there, she apologized to Yukie and Sandayu. Naruto, you apologize too. Why? Naruto asked surprised. I'm just telling them what I think. It's fine, Yukie said with a smile. When she saw Naruto looking at her again, she frowned. Do you really not like my face? Yeah, I honestly don't like your face. There's something wrong with it. He then turned to Sandayu. Sandayu-san, if you would show us where our rooms are, I'd like to put my stuff there. Then the blonde looked at his leader. After that I'll be nearby in the forest training. Ah, come right this way, Sandayu mentioned for Naruto to follow him up the stairs. The blonde followed him, leaving his group surprised at his actions, and a confused girl. Is he really rarely like this? Yukie asked. He's rarely hostile or insulting to our other clients. This is the first time he outright doesn't like someone, Itachi explained. I wonder what makes you so special. When Yukie saw Itachi looking at her, she blushed and looked away. Itachi rolled his eyes, hoping to not get a fangirl from this girl. I do wonder too why Uzumaki-san doesn't like you, Yugao admitted. The only time I've even seen him irritated was when we passed by the Hokage's family. Both Itachi and Makoto stiffened at that. Hokage? Yukie asked. Not Hokage, Hokage. He is the leader of our village, and the one of the strongest people in our nation, the purple-haired girl explained. But yeah, he seemed irritated when he saw them. She turned to the two other people from Konoha still in the room. Do you know the reason why he would be like that? You should actually know the reason, unless you weren't there during the announcement, Makoto replied. Her voice had an angry tone in it. What announcement? Weren't you there all 2 years ago? After the birth of both Tsubaki and Yuri. Who's Tsubaki and Yuri? Yukie asked. The trio then remembered the girl was there. They are the daughters of the Hokage, Yugao answered. Looking at her teacher, she saw that her face seemed distant and sad at the same time. What announcement are you talking about, Makoto-sensei? The announcement. Makoto spoke until Itachi cleared his throat. Okawa-san, it is not your story to tell but Naruto's, Itachi interrupted. So please do not go saying unnecessary things, and, Azuki-san, make sure to talk to Naruto about this. Again, it is his story to tell, not ours. He then went up the stairs following after Naruto. Yugao looked confused, as did Yukie, but then they heard Makoto sigh. Makoto-sensei, is something wrong? The purple-haired girl asked. Nothing is wrong, Yugao-chan, Makoto replied. It's just that sometimes. I think both Naruto-kun and Itachi-kun are growing up too fast for their own good. The problems Naruto has, as well as the pressure my family is putting on Itachi, are causing to bear the weight of the world on their shoulders. They're only 7 for Kami's sake and they are already at the level of 12-year-olds and thinking far older than they should. Makoto sighed again. Makes me wonder, why those two? Why are they forced to bear the burdens set upon them? Yugao looked at her sensei trying to understand the words, while Yukie looked up the stairs wondering what type of problems those two boys had. Minutes earlier with Naruto and Sandayu. Sandayu lead the blonde up the stairs and down the hall to the last room on the right. This will be your room, which you will be sharing with. Itachi-san, was it? Sandayu inquired. Hi, it's Itachi, Naruto answered. The older man nodded, then pointed down 2 doors. That is the room in which the females in your team will stay. He then pointed at a door that was 1 door away from his own. And that one will be the one Yukie is in. There are 2 bathrooms, the first door on the left of this floor, and one downstairs next to the kitchen. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask me or Yukie. Got it. Thanks, Sandayu-san. The blonde opened the door and was about to enter but was stopped when he heard the old man call to him. Yes. I have a question for you. Which is, do you really not like Yukie? He asked nervously. Naruto thought for a moment before speaking. It's not that I don't like her, since I barely know her. Thank goodness. I just don't like her face. Sandayu made a confused face. But I thought you said you didn't dislike her. And I don't, I just don't like her face. How so? Her smile doesn't seem right, Naruto gave his answer. Her smile doesn't seem right. Yeah, kids like us are supposed to be smiling and happy, and we smile like we were supposed to. Yukie's smile though is different. It seems off. I seems familiar to me, but I can't seem to place it. I see. Thank you for your explanation, Uzumaki-san. Please don't call me that, Naruto sighed. Makes me feel old. Ha ha ha. Alright, Naruto-san. I hope Yukie won't be much trouble for you. So is this our room? Itachi asked from behind Sandayu. Ah, yes, Itachi-san. Please, go inside. I think I'll prepare some tea before I leave to meet up with a man about some better paying jobs. Boys. He nodded at the 2 kids and they nodded back. Itachi watched him go down the hall and then down the stairs before speaking. What was that all about? He wondered. What was what all about? Naruto asked his own question. To not call you Uzumaki-san. Oh, that. Are you still mad that you had to take up your mom's maiden name after your dad disowned you? Itachi demanded while Naruto looked out the window of their room. I'm not mad really, I'm not. It's just, I don't know if I'll ever get used to knowing who I really am, I guess. That's easy, Itachi stated in a matter-of-fact tone. I know exactly who you are. Oh, who am I then? You are Naruto, my determined blonde rival. You are Naruto, my sparring partner. You are Naruto, my best friend. You shouldn't care what other people think, just those of who care about you. The two were quiet before Naruto smiled at Itachi. When did you get so deep? Did you talk to Shisui Ni before this? Naruto teased. Itachi rolled his eyes before punching Naruto lightly on the arm. Thanks, you always know how to brighten my day. You tend to have a lot stormy day then. Naruto shrugged. Maybe it's part of who I am. Who knows? Naruto then stretched his arms before putting on a determined look. Now, I'm going to climb up that tree without my hands by the end of tomorrow, or I'll go a week without ramen. Seriously, tree climbing? I thought you learned this already. I did, but I need practice. Besides, Shizune and Sarutobi Jii won't teach me the next part of training already. Then Asuma Ni said that he'll teach me some wind jutsu if I can cut a leaf in half only using my chakra. What is up with that? I think he's just pulling my leg. What are you going to do about the girl then? The young Sharingan user asked. What girl? The one we were hired to protect. Oh, that girl. Well, I'll try to see if I can fix her face. Is there something really wrong with it? To me there is. One way or another, I'll make Yukie smile a beautiful smile. Had been about a week since the beginning of their mission, and Yugao found herself sitting on a tree stump in the back of the cabin her team was lodging at for their mission. Next to her sat Yukie, who was looking at the two boys standing in front of them in a clear opening. Makoto was inside the building, cooking lunch for the four kids. As for the boys, each had a kunai in their hands. The blonde had it in his left while the brunette had it in his right. Naruto had a smirk on his face, while Itachi had his Sharingan ready. You ready, Naruto? Itachi asked. Ready, Naruto replied curtly. Azuki-san, if you would. Got it, Yugao said. She picked up a small log and threw it into the middle of the two boys. As it was in mid-air, both dashed forward. Naruto threw his kunai, with Itachi mirroring the movement. The two blades hit the log, one at the top and the other at the bottom, causing it to spin. As the boys neared it, they both jumped and started to punch and kick the log. What made it astonishing was that they were mirroring each other's movement, all due to Itachi using his Sharingan. When the two landed, the log fell as well, showing broken parts. Naruto looked at Itachi expectantly, before the other boy shook his head. Damn, we messed up again, huh? Naruto sighed. Yes, we did. Itachi sounded a little disappointed. That was our 20th try at the combo. What do you mean? Yukie asked. You two looked pretty cool. I was off by a second, Itachi replied. Plus it's lacking some flair, Naruto frowned. It's like it's missing something, the two boys sighed in unison. This surprised the little girl. Yukie leaned into Yugao's side and asked, do they talk like that? Huh, was the intelligent response. They seem to be, Shinko. Yukie managed to fumble the word. In sync, Yugao mumbled. She looked at the two boys as they started talking about what they did wrong, and what they can add to improve their technique. You can say that. I've only known them for about 2 weeks at most, but from the way things go, it seems like they were really brothers. Even though they act completely different from each other, they think in similar ways and help each other out. Then Yugao frowned. To be perfectly honest, I feel jealous of them sometimes. Why? Not only do they have a bond between each other, they are better than me at everything that concerns being a ninja. She points over to Naruto, who was scratching his head with his eyes closed, obviously thinking of something. I'm not as strong and not as good at taijutsu as Uzumaki-san, and I don't have as much chakra as well. Yugao then pointed at Itachi, who also seemed deep in thought. I'm also not as good at tactics or genjutsu as Uchiha-san as well. Also, he seems to be much more precise at everything. The purple-haired girl let out a sigh. I still wonder why I'm put in their team. It's because you are level-headed, Makoto said, appearing from the door. The two girls looked at her while Naruto and Itachi kept talking. You see, you were right when you said that Itachi is smart in tactics. He tends to get over his head when Naruto is involved. You are there to bring them into order and think of a good way to do things. Makoto then chuckled to herself. Besides, I think those boys need to have more friends that are girls. Huh? Both girls inquired in unison. Well, Itachi mostly, but ever since the whole fangirl incident, Makoto used air quotes on the word fangirl, they have been a bit wary of making friends with girls. They made friends easily with me, Yugao stated. It's because you didn't squeal or want to hug them until they would die. How about me? Yukie asked, pointing at herself. Well, it seems my son will get along fine with you, however, Naruto is different. Is it because he doesn't like my face? Yes, that may be the reason. Makoto then gave her a cheeky grin. But I see nothing wrong with your face. You're just too cute. I wish I had a daughter like you. Okawa-san, please stop talking like that. It's almost as bad as Naruto and the cat, Itachi sighed as the two boys walked up to the female group. Hey, I'll have you know Tora-chan is a nice cat, I just feel sorry for all the other teams who go after her, Naruto commented. I'm still surprised that cat likes you. Well, that cat's in your family like me too. Maybe it's because of that time I was accidentally lost in training ground 44, the blonde mumbled. You mean the time when that crazy lady went after you? Itachi asked. Naruto shivered at the thought. What? It was an accident. I spilled her dangos, and she all of a sudden decided that she wanted to gut me. Luckily she and Shizune are friends or I would have died in there. I feel lost again, Yukie mumbled. Me too, Yugao agreed. Naruto chuckled embarrassedly. Sorry. By any chance do you know a woman by the name of Anko Mitarashi? Naruto asked. Oh, you mean Ibuki Morino's protege in the torture division? Yeah, her. She tried to kill me one day, 'cause I spilled some of her dango. She chased me all the way into training ground 44. I was scared for my life in there. Why? You may not know it, but even some Junin are afraid to enter that training ground, Makoto interjected. It is full of dangerous plants and animals that are hard to defeat. I'm still surprised that Naruto-kun here survived. I am as well, Itachi nodded. Heck, even I'm surprised too, Naruto admitted. But yeah, I was in there for a few hours. While I was in there, I started to cry and met up with this big lion. It almost ate me too. It stopped though, I don't know why. I mean, I started to sniff me and gave me a big lick before moving away. Bet it didn't want to taste ramen flavored kids, Itachi deadpanned. The girls laughed while Naruto rolled his eyes. Haha, very funny. A few minutes later it came back with meat. Now I'm not sure what happened after that, since I sort of fell asleep after trying and failing to make a fire. I woke up in the hospital, and Tsunade Ba-chan told me that Ero-sensei had found me. Ever since then, cats liked me for some reason. That is weird, Yukie said with a pout. Are you always this weird? Is your face always like that? Naruto shot back. Naruto-kun, please stop insulting our client, Makoto chided. I will when she smiles the right way. What do you mean by that? Her smile is weird, like she's not really smiling at us. The rest of the team looks at her, who smiles brightly at them, before looking at Naruto. There is nothing wrong with it, Makoto said, although she had a feeling he was right. Her woman's intuition, and partly because she was a mother, saw what Naruto was implying. She knew what was wrong with the girl. She could very well tell Naruto that, but she wouldn't, for she wanted Naruto to think for himself, as well as test him to see if he can keep his word. Okay. Well, now let's get out of the sun and have some lunch. She then turned to Naruto and Itachi. Remember boys, don't go out after you eat. You may just throw up your food again. Hi Makoto-sama, Naruto said with a smile. He then turned to Yukie. That's how you smile. I know how to smile, dummy, Yukie pouted. Well, it doesn't look like it. Why do you keep saying that? The girl argued. Because it's true. Naruto shot back. The two seemed to glare at each other before the blonde ninja spoke again. It seems like you don't know how to be angry either. What? This seems. Naruto stopped talking for a bit, before he snapped his fingers. It seems fake, like you're acting happy and angry, but you're not. What are you saying? Yukie asked. You seem to be faking all your feelings. You're wrong. I'm right, just admitted. No, you're wrong. I'm right. You're wrong. I'm right. You're wrong. Right. Wrong. Right. Wrong. Right. Wrong. Naruto stopped after her shout, and Yukie smirked at him. The rest of Team 9 sighed in unison. Ha, I win, Yukie said with a small smile. Naruto was looking into her eyes for a few seconds before shrugging his shoulders. If you say so, he replied, then he turned around and entered the building with Itachi right behind him, leaving the women outside. That was odd, Makoto tilted her head to the side as she spoke. Don't you think so too, Yugao-chan? Hi, that was odd, the purple-haired girl said. Why was it odd? Yukie asked them. Naruto-kun gave up too easily, Makoto replied. With the boys. You gave up too easily, Itachi said as he sat down next to his best friend on the sofa. I know I did, Naruto admitted with a smile still on his face. There is a reason for it though. Oh, how so? While we were arguing, a small part of her wasn't faking it. A very small part of her seemed really angry with me, while another part seemed truly happy that she won the conversation. She wasn't faking those emotions at that time. Itachi raised an eyebrow before closing his eyes. I guess it's your win then. Yeah, and I'm going to see if I can make her react more. He was interrupted when his stomach rumbled. But for now, let's get some food. Couple of hours later, Naruto was sitting on the roof of the building by himself. In his hands was a small leaf from a nearby tree. He had his eyes closed as he sat there concentrating. Naruto then frowned after a couple of minutes of doing that. Damn, I still can't do it, he said to himself. Asuma ni must be pulling my legs since I can't even make a small cut on this stupid leaf. The boy let out a deep breath before lying down on the wooden roof. He closed his eyes as he just listened to the wind and relaxed his body. It was like that for a few minutes until he heard a noise coming from behind the house. Cracking one eye open and stretching his arms a bit, Naruto crawled over to the other side of the roof and searched for the source of the noise. His eyes had adjusted well enough to the darkness, and the light from the moon helped out as well, so it was easy to find the disturbance. Looking just a bit into the tree line, he saw a small figure who was sitting at the base of a tall oak. Since Naruto knew it wasn't any of his team members, all he could guess was that the girl was none other than Yukie. Naruto was about to call out to her and ask what she was doing outside at night with no one watching her, but stopped when he heard her. The girl was crying. Otu-san, why did you have to die? She sniffed quietly as she cried next to the tree. Naruto laid down again as he listened to the girl crying for her father. Closing his eyes, he let out a shaky breath. Why did she have to show more emotions now? Especially when it's sadness. I can't handle crying girls, Naruto mental sighed. So that's why she's acting out her emotions. She is still in mourning. Quote. Mentally kicking himself, Naruto let out a frustrated groan. Kami, I've been mean to her, now I feel bad about insulting her. Stopping his train of thought, he took in a few deep breaths before letting one long out. Well, there's no changing it now. I'll keep my word, and try to make her smile a real smile. He then visibly frowned. This is going to take a while. Naruto sat still for a few minutes before taking in a deep breath, then. Og. Instantly Itachi as on the roof with a kunai in hand. Naruto, what is it? Itachi asked as he looked around cautiously. Are we under attack? Nope, answered the blonde. Is there something in the forest? Nope. Then why did you scream? I felt frustrated, that's all. Itachi had to stop himself from face faulting. You screamed because you felt frustrated. Yep. Naruto, sometimes you are such a kid. I am a kid, I mean I'm only 7 and so are you. Itachi opened his mouth to respond but only shook his head in disbelief. You know what? Forget it. I'm too tired to deal with this right now. I'm going to bed. Good night, Naruto. Night, Itachi. The next morning, Yukie woke up later than usual, which was fine with her. She really didn't mind, it meant less time being spent with the ninjas. She honestly didn't mind them, but she hated faking being happy in front of them. Especially the blonde idiot, who kept calling her out on her actions. While it was annoying, Yukie had to admit that the blonde was able to do something that Sandayu hadn't been able to do ever since the death of her father at her uncle's hand. He managed to make her feel an emotion, even if it was only irritation and satisfaction of winning an argument. Slowly doing her morning rituals, she went downstairs and found that everyone was eating breakfast but Naruto was missing. "Where's Uzumaki-san?" Yukie asked. "He's still asleep," Makoto hummed as she set a plate down for her. "He tired himself out last night." After his odd scream, "He told me he went back to work on cutting the leaf," Itachi mentioned. "When I woke up this morning he was asleep on his bed, and on his nightstand was a leaf with a small incision on it." Itachi then rubbed some of the sleep out of his eyes as he brought a bowl of miso soup to his mouth. He wouldn't be quiet for even a few seconds when he came into the room. "Woke me up and kept me up for about an hour. I had to subtly place a genjutsu on him to make him fall asleep." "Oh, so I'm guessing he's going to try even harder now, isn't he? Are you sure that is a good idea to let him do that?" Yugao asked. "I mean, he seems really tired. Is converting chakra into an elemental-based one that hard? It isn't, but getting the hang of it is." Makoto then looked at Yugao. "Itachi here has a little grip on using Kaden chakra, while Naruto is learning futon. How about we teach you how to learn to use elemental chakra as well?" "Really?" she asked. "Although we may have to teach you 3 more chakra control first." Makoto had on a pensive face before turning to Yukie. "Excuse me, Yukie-chan, do you happen to know where the closest body of water near here?" "Oh, there is a small lake nearby," Yukie smiled. "Why do you need to know, Makoto-sama? I'm going to teach the kids how to walk on water." She then turned to Itachi. "Go wake up Naruto-kun." "Hi, Okawa-san." Itachi stood up. Itachi ascended up the stairs and a few minutes later the girls heard a scream. "Gah! That's cold!" Naruto shouted. Yukie nearly truly smiled at what happened. It was funny to see the blonde get irritated. "I just told Itachi to wake him up, not splash him with water." An hour later, Team 9 plus Yukie found themselves in front of the small lake Yukie had mentioned. The kids were sitting on the ground while Makoto stood up front of them scanning the area. "This looks like a good place as any," she whispered to herself. Turning to the kids, she smiled at them. "You 3 know how to walk on trees, right?" The trio of kids nodded. "Good, this is the same thing, but you have to continuously pour out chakra to keep you afloat, if not you'll fall into the water." "Is that it?" Naruto asked, almost skeptical. "Yup, that is it. Since you already know how to put the right distribution of chakra into your feet through climbing T's, all you have to do is keep a steady flow of chakra going out. Just remember to concentrate and you'll be fine. Eventually you won't even notice that you are doing it." "Oh, that sounds easy enough," Yugao said. "Good. You can go practice now if you want." "Oh, and Itachi, no Sharingan. That would be unfair to the other 2 if you saw how much chakra you put into your feet." "Whatever you say, Okawa-san," Itachi answered. The trio got up on their feet and slowly walked out towards the water. Naruto was the first there and gathered some chakra into his feet. Concentrating on maintaining the chakra, he walked forward and made it a couple of steps. "Hey, this isn't so bad," he smirked, but sadly on his next step he fell into the water. "Gah! That's cold." This time Yukie actually giggled at his expense. "This seems harder than I thought it was going to be," Yugao said. She got as far as Naruto, and a little beyond before falling into it as well. "Kya, why is it so cold? It's summer." Itachi rolled his eyes and did the same as the other 2, however going farther than both, just by a meter or so before he fell in. Unlike the other 2 though, he didn't scream out how cold it was. He gritted his teeth and met up with the other 2 as they arrived at land. Itachi looked at Naruto, and the blonde stared back before they both nodded. Yugao sighed. "You guys are going to make this into another competition again, aren't you?" The 2 boys nodded towards her before gathering their chakra and racing off on top of the lake. Naruto got farther this time, matching up to the same distance as Itachi before they plopped into the water again. "Those boys will turn everything into a competition," Makoto laughed as she said that to no one in particular. Yukie was giggling alongside her, actually laughing at the fact that the blonde would complain each time he fell in. They seem to be having a lot of fun though, Yukie commented. Well, that is how those two are. They understand each other better when they compete at something. She then looked at Yugao, who was standing still on top of the shallow part of the lake. However, I wish that they would have done what Yugao-chan is doing instead. Good job, Yugao-chan. You'll get the hang of this faster than those two if they keep this up. Thanks, Makoto-sensei. Yugao beamed. When she lost her concentration to answer, she only sank up to her ankles before trying again. All was quiet in the area save for the occasional splash and a little bit of jeering from the two competing boys. They seem so carefree, Yukie whispered, almost imperceptible to other people. They aren't, Makoto replied, shocking the girl when the woman answered. What? These kids aren't as carefree as you think. They all have such heavy burdens on them, namely Naruto and Itachi. My husband expects so much out of our son that he doesn't even consider the existence of our other son Sasuke. Naruto also has problems, as we said when we got here, and he's trying to make the best of it as he can. What is Azuki-san's burden then? Yukie asked, pointing at the purple-haired girl who was taking a break a few feet away, cheering on her two teammates as they continued to race one another to see who would get farther before going into the water. Hers is simple, but puts one into doubt. She is in a team with a genius and a prodigy, actually both can be considered geniuses in their own right. As she said so herself, she always feels inadequate when she's around both Naruto and Itachi. How do you think it would feel like to always be in the shadow of two others better than yourself? I think I would be. I would feel pretty bad about myself. Next to her, Makoto nodded. She's afraid of being a burden to the team. Slowly a smile made its way to her face even though she said that. Although, it's also because of those two that she is improving at a rapid pace. She wants to stand next to them, not follow behind them. That is why she keeps taking steps forward to eventually reach where they are. A pedestal she put the two on. Not only that, Itachi and Naruto are helping her along the way, just like how Naruto has been helping Itachi with problems. How? Just by being Itachi's friend. Someone who doesn't expect something from him other than friendship. It's why Itachi could keep up with the demands of his father. The bond the two share keep him motivated on going on. Naruto is just what Itachi needs in a friend, someone who doesn't demand anything but friendship in return. How about Uzumaki-san? How does he rely on the others? She asked, curious about the blonde. We're just there for him. Yukie looked confused. It's not my story to tell. I'm telling you I'm lasting longer than you are. The two females heard Naruto shout. Looking out onto the lake, they saw both boys sitting on the water, rather tired. Still, they were sitting on the water. You've fallen in at least an inch, admitted Naruto. Itachi deadpanned. No, I didn't. If anything, you're the one running out of chakra. We will see. The two glare at each other before just sitting there. A few seconds later, Yugao joins the two and sits down on the water as well, starting up a conversation with the two. Wow, it looks like that got it, and it only took an afternoon to do so, Makoto said with a smile. Of course, this is much easier to get than tree walking. Standing up, she cupped her hands around her mouth before shouting, kids. Let's head back now. I have to make dinner. Hi. The trio responded and got up from the water and walked over to them. Yukie smirked at Naruto. Did you have fun getting wet? She asked. Naruto smiled at her before nodding his head. I didn't mind really, he answered. I had learned something today, but it's freaking cold. Then his smile got wider when he saw her smirk. Plus today is a good day. Why? You smiled nicely today because you actually seemed to have fun laughing at me mess up. Yukie's eyes grew wide when she heard that. Thinking back on it now, she really did enjoy the stupid antics the boy did. She was feeling some of her emotions again. That's not. Whatever you say, Yukie, he cut her off. Let's go back and have some dinner. I'm starved. Itachi rolled his eyes as did Yugao. Makoto led the four back to the home, with Naruto at the back with Yukie who was looking at him carefully. Why does he seem to care about me? She thought. A week later. A week was left in their stay there, for Sandayu was coming back shortly. The three genin kept practicing and training, while also spending some time playing with Yukie. Naruto seemed to spend more time with her more than anyone else, which confused both Yugao and Makoto. Itachi wasn't confused since he remembered the blonde's goal of making the girl smile beautifully. So the group watched as Naruto spent time talking, arguing and even joking around with Yukie. Some of the times Naruto seemed irritated, heck most of the time would be correct, but there was some times where Naruto would beam at Yukie happily giving her a smile and a compliment, which would then make the girl blush. It was nighttime now and it was raining outside. Everyone was inside spending a lazy day. Yugao was taking time to study some of the house, Itachi was reading from a book and Makoto was happily cooking in the kitchen. Naruto was sleeping in the room peacefully until something woke him up. Naruto opened the door. Itachi shouted. The blonde fell out of bed with a thud before looking at his friend, who had a worried face. Are we being attacked? He asked. No. Then what's wrong? Yukie has gone missing. What? She went outside before it rained during the afternoon, but she still hasn't come back. You sure about this? Yes. Azuki-san and Okawa-san had already left to search, I'm only waking you up to help. Right. Naruto put on a raincoat from within his bag before following Itachi down the stairs and out the front door. Which way do we go? Azuki-san went south and Okawa-san went north. I'll head to the east and you'll head to the west. Got it. When do we meet back? Naruto pointed at his watch. If you can't find her in an hour, head back already. Naruto nodded and they both ran off in opposite directions. As Naruto ran through the woods his mind was running 100 miles a minute, wondering why would she just run off like. Yukie, where are you? He shouted as he ran through the forest. He kept searching, continuously watching his watch. Since he was heading only in a straight line, he knew all he had to do was turn around and run backwards to make it back, but he had to push forward. 20 minutes of searching later, Naruto came upon a mountain. His eyes looked everywhere hoping to find some sort of clue to help him find Yukie. His breath was heavy from all that running in the rain though. A boom of thunder and a flash of lightning later, Naruto saw a small opening on the side of the wall. Running there he took a few steps into rest before looking for her again. As he was about to sit down, he heard some sniffling. Looking behind him he looked back and saw a crouched figure in the back. He took a step forward but kicked a stone alerting the other person. Who's there? The person asked. Yukie. Naruto asked back. You Uzumaki-san. Yukie sniffed. Naruto let out a relieved sigh. Yukie, what are you doing in here? Everyone is looking for you. What do you care? She mumbled as he got closer to her. The 7-year-old boy sat down next to the 7-year-old girl while she cried. It's not like you're my family or anything, or that I have any of it left. You're talking about your dad dying, right? Yukie's head snapped to him. How did you know? I accidentally overheard you one night. Yukie put her head back down while she sniffled a bit. The two sat there not talking until Yukie spoke again. Are you going to feel sad for me too then? Naruto looked at her waiting for her to explain. Are you going to feel sad for me too just like Sandayu has for the past 2 years? I'll feel sad for you, Naruto stated, but I will not pity you. Why? Because I'm in a similar situation. What do you mean? I lost my family too, in a sense. Yukie looked at him. Did they die? No, they didn't die. They just don't remember or love me anymore. To them, it's like I don't exist a part of their family. To them I'm just a stranger with a similar name to my mom's old name. Naruto looked at her, and stared her in the eye. When your father died, at least he said he loved you, right? Yukie nodded. Then I'm jealous of you. At least you know your dad loved you when he died, unlike me, whose parents are still alive but don't give a damn about me. Again the two stayed silent while sitting next to each other. Until once again, Yukie once again. I'm sorry, She whispered, catching Naruto's attention. She was looking into his eyes, and Naruto could see that she genuinely was sorry. What are you sorry for? What happened to you, as well as acting in front of you? Don't mind it, besides you're the first person I told my situation that is outside of Konoha. It feels good to have someone else know what happened, doesn't it? Yukie smiled, a small one, but a real one as well, and nodded her head. Yeah, let's go back now, okay? I can't, Yukie stuttered. I hurt my leg. Why didn't you say so earlier? Naruto sighed. He bent down and picked her up. He was carrying her on his back, like a piggy back. Which was funny since she was only a bit shorter than him. Kami, you're heavy. He was then hit on the back of his head. I'm not fat. Naruto rolled his eyes, before reaching down and taking the raincoat. Put this on your head, I don't want you catching a cold. Yukie did that, and then Naruto headed back. The two making small talk as they did. A week later. You're an idiot, Itachi said to Naruto. This was met by a slight tap on the back of the head by Makoto onto Itachi. The group stood outside of the house where they had spent a month at. The group had all packed up and were about to leave, but the farewell became a bit teary-eyed as Naruto and Yukie wouldn't stop saying crying. After their little emotional time in the cave, Naruto and Yukie seemed to become even greater friends. While from time to time, Yukie would lapse back into faking her emotions, Naruto would try to reprimand her on it. You'll write to me, right? Yukie asked, trying to stop her tears. She really didn't want her friend to go, namely due to the fact that she and him had kept talking about their problems and come to terms with one another. I'll try, Naruto answered, letting the tears flow freely. Don't start getting all mopey again when we leave. I'll know you miss me. As if I would, stupid, she sobbed. She and Naruto shared a hug before he turned around to leave. As Naruto was leaving, he shouted something over his shoulder. When we meet again, I'll be a strong ninja. So if you need something, just give me a call. Well, when we meet again, I'll be super famous. So I'll give you an autograph for payment. Naruto chuckled as they left, but still had some tears in his eyes. Yugao and Makoto were talking amongst themselves and Itachi rolled his eyes at Naruto's farewell. You're going to be sad that you're leaving your girlfriend? He asked in a serious tone. She is not my girlfriend. Naruto shouted. Even from a distance away, Yukie heard it and giggled. She entered the house where Sandayu was waiting. Did you enjoy yourself, Yukie? The old man asked. The little girl nodded her head. I had fun, Yukie told him with an honest smile which surprised the old man. How so? Because I made a friend. The girl said happily as she skipped into the room. Minato Namikaze, also known as the Yondaime Hokage, was sitting at his desk looking over numerous Junin senseis of several genin groups. As you may know, Minato started smiling at them. We have gotten an invitation from Kumo for the first Chunin exams this year. Whispers broke out as the senseis talked amongst themselves. Sir, aren't we still hostile with Kumo? A random Junin asked. Minato shook his head. To be honest, our relationship is quite cloudy. This got a laugh out of a few people, but no, we are not hostile with them. So that is why I have accepted. Now how many of you are willing to send your teams to Kumo for the Chunin exams? Slowly, several Junins suggested their groups with the head of the village nodding his head, writing them down. After a couple of minutes, Minato asked, is there anyone else? I, Makoto Uchiha, nominate Itachi Uchiha, Yugao Azuki and Naruto Uzumaki for these Chunin exams, Makoto said as she moved up from where she was. Several people started to murmur again, and no one noticed that Minato narrowed his eyes. Are you sure about this, Makoto? Of course I am, the Uchiha matron replied. I have faith in my team just like all the other Junin has in their team. But they are just rookies, not even a year into their genin days. That is true, however, you forget that my team has already successfully done 8 C-rank missions. Can any other genin team here boast that in their first year? Many of the Junin in the room could feel the tension rising between their leader and Makoto. Some were confused as to why he wouldn't let this one team go to a Chunin exam, it's not like they would get past the first round right. I'll let them go, Minato said slowly. Makoto smiled, but it was quickly replaced by a frown by his next words, only if someone would second the notion. Does anyone want to do that? None of the Junins spoke up. Sure, they thought it would be a joke if the rookies went into the exams, but they did not want yet another competitor in it as well. This caused the Hokage to smile. Well, it looks like. I'll second the notion, an elderly voice interrupted the meeting. Looking towards the door, everyone saw Sarutobi Hiruzen with a pipe in hand. Hokage-sama, several Junins, even the present Hokage, greeted. The old man smiled but shook his head. How many times do I have to tell you, I'm just a regular ninja now that hands out missions, Sarutobi smiled. He then turned to his successor. As I was saying, I second the notion of Squad 9 going to the Chunin exams in Kumo. But Sarutobi-sama, Minato tried to reason, but was cut off with the older Hokage putting his hand up. Minato-kun, I hope you would trust my judgment in sending that team out. If anything, it shows good faith in our up-and-coming ninja. Wouldn't you agree? He smiled at the blonde. After a few seconds, Minato sighed and nodded his head. Fine, I'll allow Team 9 to go. Thank you, smiled Makoto. Now, if you don't mind, I'll be getting the consent papers. Looking at the former Hokage, she smiled at him. Would you like to come and tell my team the news? I would love to, Sarutobi replied. The two walked out of the room. The rest of you are dismissed to tell your teams as well, Minato said with a smile. The rest of the group bowed, before leaving as well. It was quiet for a moment before he spoke again. I want you guys out of the room as well. I need some time to myself. Putting down a simple genjutsu to make them invisible, for Anbu, the special group of ninja that only listened to the cage of the village, left the room too. He waited to make sure no one else was there before Minato put his hand on the desk, where a hidden seal was. The room glowed a bright blue before stopping. No sound was coming into the room, even though the window was open. Closing the blinds, Minato took a deep breath before doing something no one would have expected. He grabbed some random object from his desk and threw it against the wall of the room, letting out a furious scream. Sitting down, he allowed himself to calm down and look at the situation carefully. Before long, all he could do is frown. Damn, if this keeps going on, the Toad Sage's second prophecy will come true. I will not allow that to happen. Naruto must lose at these Chunin exams. At Tsunade's home minutes later. It had been about 3 months since the whole mission with Yukie. He had kept his promise to Yukie and sent a letter once a week. Since then, Team 9 had done only C-rank missions since then. They all varied in difficulty. Some had them guarding yet another person, another had them gathering data and trading it with another team from another country, and others had them taking stuff from other people. It was also during this time that Naruto and Itachi had experienced their first kill. They were guarding a caravan of merchants traveling through Fire Country to the border of Wind Country. As they approached the desert, several bandits appeared to steal from the caravan. While the members of the caravan could fight, Naruto's group was forced to as well. Both Naruto and Itachi had managed their first kill that day. None would talk for 2 days and they were trembling like mad. It was on the 3rd day that Naruto got up and punched Itachi across the face, causing them to have a scuffle. In the end, a tired and beaten pair of shinobi were talking to each other about the experience, vowing to never enjoy killing. But today, it was Naruto's team's day off. Shizune, when will you get a boyfriend? Asked a very bored Naruto. He was eating some instant ramen as he watched his surrogate sister lounge around the house. Be quiet. An older girl, looking around the age of 17, stuttered. She was sitting down across from him. She was wearing a dark purple kimono with a fishnet shirt underneath. Around her waist was a large red obi tying it. I just haven't found time to get one. Shizune replied. That's what you said a month ago. You haven't gone on a mission in 2 weeks and Tsunade-chan hasn't given you any work. You should go on a date or something. Naruto-kun, you're 7, I don't think you should be giving out dating advice. I have about a third of the village willing to be my girlfriend, I think I can give advice. Plus, Ero-sensei gives me great tips. Although I don't know what he means by sharpening my kunai a lot, or putting my sword into a girl's sheath. I mean I don't even have a sword, and my kunais are sharp. Huh, Shizune, why are you blushing? The blonde asked as he looked at the teen. Her face was beet red while he spoke, for unlike him Shizune understood what he was saying. Seriously Shizune, are you sick or something? I'm not sick Naruto-kun, the girl stuttered, shocked at the fact that her little brother was taught something like that. Just don't repeat those words again, for a long time. Especially in front of girls. Okay, but are you sure? You're still quiet red, the blonde said worriedly to the girl. Shizune nodded again. So as I was saying, you need a boyfriend. Even if it is Kakashi Baka. I don't like him like that. Shizune shouted. He's a pervert and weird. Really? I don't like him like that, really. Then you probably like someone else. Maybe Asuma ni. Shizune shook her head. Genma-san. Another no. Guy-san. Hell no. Shizune shouted, causing Naruto to flinch. He's even weirder than Kakashi. I agree. Naruto then thought for a moment before opening his mouth again. Then who do you like? I can't say, she said slowly. Why? Because there is an age difference between us, more than 5 years. Shizune was blushing, the thought of talking about this to Naruto. Is he older? Younger? Ew. If he was younger that make you a pedo, pedo. Pedophile, a voice finished for him. Yeah, pedophile. Thanks Ero-sensei. Naruto thanked the old man behind him, without looking back. No problem brat. Jiraiya smiled as he ruffled the blonde's hair and sat next to him. But is this true Shizune-chan? You like someone younger than you? Shizune was blushing hard again. Shizune couldn't complete her sentence. It's okay. We won't tell anyone, right Naruto? Jiraiya asked the little boy. Right. We wouldn't do anything to hurt Shizune after all. Naruto gave her a smile and a thumbs up. Jiraiya mimicked him. The blonde then turned to the white-haired man. So Ero-sensei, what are you doing here? What, I can't just visit my favorite godson? Well, when you come by the house it usually means you're here to sneak a peek at. Naruto was stopped from talking when Jiraiya's hand clamped down his mouth. What are you doing brat? I'm maybe around to hear you say that. Around to hear him say what? Tsunade asked as she entered the kitchen to find a blushing and shocked Shizune, Jiraiya with a hand over Naruto's mouth, and Naruto looking a bit lost. Nothing important. Jiraiya forced a laugh before turning to Naruto with pleading eyes. Right Naruto. Come on Naruto, lie for me here, he thought. Sure. It was nothing Tsunade-chan. Naruto beamed at her, acting his age. Then why is Shizune blushing? We just found out she's a pedophile. Shizune shrunk back a bit when he said that, then drew back even further when Tsunade raised an eyebrow at her. Whatever. Brat, your team is here to talk to you. Huh. Naruto was confused again. There isn't a team meeting today. Getting up and putting his dishes in the sink, he left the room wondering what was going on. When he entered the living room he was met with Itachi, Yugao and Makoto all sitting there waiting patiently. Why are you guys here? Is there something going on? Actually there is Naruto-kun, Makoto happily said. I have nominated you 3 to be part of the Chunin exams held in Kumo. Really? Naruto shouted excitedly. All 3 of us are going. That's right. The blonde then turned to his teammates. You guys excited about this? As if you even need to ask, Itachi scoffed, but there was a smile tugging at his lips. I'm willing to see how far we have come, Yugao admitted. This had Naruto break out smiling. This is going to be great. Naruto-kun, don't forget that these are an exams, and that you need to take this seriously, Makoto told him. Of course Makoto-sama, but I can't help but feel excited. We get to see how we rank amongst the other genin of the world. Where do you think we'll stand guys? The middle. The purple-haired girl guessed, unsure if this was a trick question. Never doubt yourself Yugao-senpai, Itachi said. he had decided to using her first name after knowing each other for this long. If you think we are in the middle, then state it with conviction. But for me, I think we're somewhere near the bottom. I do too, Naruto agreed, nodding his head. Why do you say that? Yugao asked. Because I don't mind starting at the bottom. Why? Because if we start at the bottom, we have to work our way up. If we work our way up, we'll end up showing the world our true potential, Itachi explained. Isn't that right, Naruto? Yeah, we'll prove to the others that we're not just some kids. That just like them we are ninja. Naruto said with conviction that felt infectious. Yugao was now wearing a confident smile on her face. Who's with me? Itachi rolled his eyes and slapped Naruto on the back. Baka, we already said we were. What's all the commotion about? Jiraiya asked as he, Tsunade and Shizune appeared from the kitchen. Naruto turned to them and smiled brightly. We're heading off to the Chunin exams in Kumo. The Chunin exams already? Shizune gasped. You guys are so young. I remembered I tried the Chunin exams when I was 12 and became one when I was 13. You guys are advancing faster than I did. Are you sure you guys are ready for this? You should have more faith in us, Shizune nay. We'll make it through and become Chunin, TT Ibeo. A silent moment passed before anyone could respond. The first to recover was Naruto. Not again. Man, I hate it when I slip back into doing that. Itachi was chuckling behind him, the girls were giggling, while Jiraiya was outright laughing at him. Don't worry, kid, some people just never get over that, he said. But you be careful, okay? The Chunin exams are serious stuff. I know, that's why I'm excited. Good, we'll be leaving in 2 days with the rest of the Konoha contingent, Makoto told him. She then presented him with papers. Fill these out and give them to me tomorrow, after that just rest for the next 2 days. Hi, Makoto-sama. Naruto nodded. The rest of Team 9 bid their farewells and left, leaving Naruto to do the paperwork. Tsunade went back into the kitchen and Jiraiya left to talk to Sarutobi, leaving Shizune once again to talk to Naruto. It was quiet as Naruto did the paperwork, but since he felt the need to talk to the older teen, so, is the boy you like someone we know? Naruto. Shizune shouted. A week later, the group had left Konoha, were closing in on their destination. With non-stop running they had made it there within the week. Since most of the genin hadn't gone that far from Konoha, this was a sight to behold, but the thing that made it even more spectacular was the scenery. They were so high up in the mountains that they were literally in the clouds. For some odd reason though, Naruto felt at home when he arrived, which worried him. This place looks beautiful. Naruto was snapped out of his thoughts as Yugao mentioned that next to him. We're so high up and mountains look so nice. If you've seen one mountain you've seen them all, Naruto mumbled. But the air feels fresher here. Itachi merely nodded his head. The large contingent then entered through the gates of Kumo. Naruto looked around the village and noticed that most of the ninja in the village had a sword. You noticed it too, huh, Naruto? Itachi whispered. Naruto nodded. We don't have much experience against sword-carrying opponents. We'll manage somehow. As they walked forward, they were led to the hotel they were going to stay in. As was given to every group, they were given a room each with 2 beds, a couch with a pull-out bed, and a couple of seats. Naruto and Itachi had decided to let both Makoto and Yugao have the bed, while they would trade off on the pull-out one and sleeping in a sleeping bag. After settling in, Makoto had given them the day to familiarize themselves with the area. Itachi was leading the group as they exited the hotel. So where do you two want to go first? Itachi asked. Let's just have a look around. The exams won't start until tomorrow anyway, Yugao suggested. Actually, I was thinking of going to get some food, Naruto said. I'm kind of hungry. Didn't we just have lunch? Itachi questioned him. That was like 3 hours ago, Naruto whined. Itachi rolled his eyes. Fine, let's go find something for you to eat. Naruto jumped for joy as they walked around the village looking for a food stand that Naruto would like, i.e. a ramen stand. As they walked around, all 3 of them noticed the different villages that were there. Minor villages such as Aim Rain, who must have traveled a long way to get there, as well as the onsen village, and Kusa. Other than Konoha, the only other major village that seemed to agree to go was Iwa. When they passed by the Iwa group, Naruto had hid in between some buildings, knowing full well what they may do to him considering who his father was. When they finally decided to sit down and eat, at a ramen stand of course, Naruto had ordered whatever their largest serving was, which was called the Spicy Thunder Special, that was super spicy and super salty, which would be free if the person could eat it under 30 minutes without water. Now since he was friends with Itachi who taught him, beat into him, to eat properly, he no longer gulps down the food. Naruto was taking time to savor the soup as he ate it, but still at faster pace than the other two. While Yugao had been accustomed to seeing him eat vast amounts of ramen when he could, the vendor was looking at the blonde with slight awe and horror as Naruto plowed through the food. Does he always eat like this? The ramen vendor asked Itachi. No, Itachi calmly replied as he ate his salty ramen with a boiled egg, he's usually faster than this. That made the vendor even more horrified, worried about his sales. That's right. Back at home Naruto-san would be at his third bowl right now, which would be roughly the same size as this, Yugao interjected as she ate her miso ramen with chicken. Seconds later Naruto put the bowl down and had a smile on his face. That was some great ramen, old man. He smiled at him. I haven't had anything that spicy in a while. Plus the serving size was great too. You finished that gigantic bowl in 10 minutes, the vendor whispered, nearly crying for the loss of extra income. Oh yeah, wasn't it that if I could eat it under 30 minutes without a drink it's free, right? The vendor nodded his head. Do you think I can have another one then? Naruto smiled. If I don't eat it within the same 30 minutes I'll pay for both of them. That had the vendor's head shooting up. Really? Don't do it, Itachi warned. You'll just lose more money. When it comes to ramen, almost no one can compete with this boy. The vendor then remembered what they said about Naruto eating more than that and thanked Itachi for the warning. Fine then. Naruto scanned the menu again before finding something that caught his eye. I'll have an order red bean soup with mochi on it, please. Okay. The vendor replied, once again looking at his lost income. The porridge was given to Naruto, who slurped that one too, but a more sedate pace. So slow in fact that Itachi and Yugao were able to finish their ramen 5 minutes before Naruto could finish the soup. How come you eat that a lot slower than the ramen? Not a lot of people know this, but this soup is my favorite thing to eat next to ramen, Naruto told the vendor after paying for the soup. It's sweet enough to fix the salty taste that the ramen leaves behind. Never thought of it like that before, the vendor replied. Naruto was about to go on but stopped when Itachi nodded at him. Naruto nodded back before disappearing from his seat. Hey, where did he go? The ramen vendor asked. He went to get our uninvited guest, Itachi announced, while Yugao nodded beside them. While they were not great censors, they had trained enough to know when people are following them. Naruto came through the flaps of the entrance a few seconds later, pulling along a girl with brown hair done in a ponytail. She was wearing a black and purple shirt and black shorts. A Kumo headband was on her forehead, although from the looks of it she was quite a bit older than them, probably the same age as Yugao. Who are you and why are you spying on us? Itachi demanded as Naruto plopped her down onto the stool. The blonde also noticed the dark look that the vendor sent the girl. The girl looked shocked, probably due to the fact that Naruto had managed to bring her into the shop while also getting the drop on her. After snapping out of it, she looked at each of the three genin. I am Yugito ni, genin of Kumo. I saw some Konoha headbands and wondered what they were doing here, Yugito explained. She seemed uncomfortable sitting there and Naruto noticed this too. We're here for the exams, Itachi stated with absolutely no emotion in his voice. I see, Yugito said before looking at Naruto. Is there another reason you're here? The Uchiha demanded. Just one question, why does he smell like a cat? She asked pointing at Naruto. Gah, you mean that lion's spit smell is still on me? Naruto shouted. It's been 2 years already and I still smell like that. I don't smell anything, Yugao stated. Neither do I, Itachi agreed. How come I can smell it then? Yugao asked, sounding disappointed. Naruto was sure that was the tone she took up when she said that. Whatever then. The Kumo ninja stood up and was about to leave but turned to them. As a resident of Kumo, I would like to welcome you to your village and wish you luck in the Chunin exams. When we do meet up, we will be enemies then. Yugao nodded at them before running away. When she was gone, both Itachi and Naruto frowned. She has an advantage against us now, Itachi told the other two. Yeah, if she can smell me out, she'll be able to find us, and if we fight, we won't be able to expect an ambush, Naruto continued. Then why don't you keep practicing that one move you have, Naruto-san, Yugao suggested again. The one that will let you know where people are around you. I'll have to keep doing that then. We need to stock up on chakra replenishing pills too if we want to do that, Naruto said. That move will take out a lot of chakra from me. After their brief lunch, the trio left and were walking around the village. After some time, they had accidentally come across a training field that was in use. Itachi was telling them to leave the area, but Naruto was rooted at the spot. He was watching the two sparring with an excited smile on his face. The two fighting were two buff men. They were both dark-skinned and had platinum blonde hair, and oddly enough both had small beards too. The only way to actually tell them apart other than the clothing they had was one had sunglasses and was rapping extremely bad. Naruto was ignoring that though. All he saw, or what he didn't see, was the other man, who was covered in lightning, who had kept disappearing before his eyes, just like his dad did when he used the Hiraishin no Jutsu, flying thunder god technique. Before Itachi could stop him, Naruto ran out onto the field as the two stopped fighting. That was so cool, Naruto shouted as he ran onto the field. The two men tensed but calmed down, just a little, when they saw the boy running onto the field, who was followed by two other people. This field is reserved for us only. How did you get here? The man without the glasses asked. We were wandering around and accidentally made our way here, Itachi explained. I'm also sorry for the actions for my friend, we did not mean to interrupt your training. It's okay, little girl boy. Meeting with kids is such a great joy. The man with the sunglasses rapped. Will you not rap right now? The other man grunted. Don't be such a downer, bro. Rapping like this is the way to go. B continued on, horrible rapping. Whoa, you rhyme really well, do you mind if I go for a spell? Naruto asked in the same way. The blonde and B laughed in amusement while the other man and Itachi face-palmed. Since Yugao was on her own, she noticed the odd similarities between the two groups, which frightened her a bit. Sorry for my brother's horrible rapping, the other man apologized. My name is A, and that is my idiot brother Killer B. Itachi, the idiot talking to your brother is Naruto, while the female next to me is Yugao. Itachi introduced his team without giving their last names. I take it you three are here for the Chunin exams, seeing as you are from Konoha. Itachi nodded. The two males then looked back towards their counterparts who were rapping, or trying to. Hey Itachi, listen here. Naruto started with a small sentence. Our rhymer likes worms in you ear. Killer B continued. I mean, we're pretty cool. And we do go to some rhyme school. What do you think, bro? Our rhyming is one hell of a show. Both Itachi and A had twitching eyes at the sheer stupidity the two had presented. Oh Kami, this is going to be hell, both A and Itachi said at the same time. You're not half bad, kid, not with all the rhymes you just did, B complimented Naruto. Thanks, but rapping is not my thing. I came here to ask your bro how he's fast as lightning, Naruto said. That made A and B freeze. What did you say? A asked. I wanted to know how you're so fast. That odd lightning move you did, the one that made you really fast. I wanted to know how you did it. Sorry kid, but it's Kumo's secret. Oh, Naruto deflated. Naruto, leave it alone, we have to go, Itachi stated. Makoto-sensei may be looking for us. Itachi was taking care of avoiding giving out more information than he should. Yeah, Naruto answered, before a smirk appeared on his face. Hey, how about a bet? A bet? Asked. If I could make it to the third round of the Chunin exams, you'll show me how to do that technique. What a silly bet. Why would I do something as stupid as giving a kid the move that only Raikages know? Because I can bet something on the line too, something that would make it your while. What would that be? An Uzumaki, Naruto said with the utmost confidence. That had A's eyes widen, while B remained relative quiet. Behind him Itachi and Yugao looked mortified. An Uzumaki. A said carefully. Yup. One with the power to seal and control Biju and bind Jinchuriki. That had a trembling. His father had messed up getting an Uzumaki by the name of Kushina. How could he trust a mere boy to get one for him? How can I be so sure you can accomplish this? Trust me, I have my ways. I'll even sign a contract if I have to. I looked at Naruto, who seemed so confident in his end of the bargain. There were a few tense moments of silence, before a nodded. Fine, but we won't need a contract. I mean, a little kid like you wouldn't be able to fool me, a Junin. True. So we have a deal. Naruto had stretched out his arm, which a shook. When he did, I was surprised to see a black mark appear around his wrist. What the heck is this? Naruto smiled. While I may be only 7 years old, A-san, that doesn't mean I'm stupid. I had taken up a small interest in seals, and that is one of the ones I got used to. It's an explosive seal, which can only be taken off by me since it requires something only I have. Why did you put this on me? Just a little, what's the word again? Insurance that you keep your end of the bargain. How come you don't have one? Who says I don't? Naruto showed his wrist to A. It will detonate if I don't hold up my end of the bargain as well. I stared at him before grunting. Fine. B, let's go, we're late for an appointment. I turned around and left the clearing, leaving only Killer B and the kids. Well, that was pretty of you, little dude. Your ways of tricking bro was quite crude, B smiled. But I like that about you, just be sure you don't bite off more than you can chew. B then disappeared with a puff of smoke. When they were gone, Itachi walked up to Naruto and punched him across the face. What the heck do you think you are doing? Itachi roared, which scared Yugao. He's showing more emotion than Yugao was used to seeing, but Naruto had seen this side before too. Did you know this could be considered treason? I know, but it's not like I'm putting anyone important on the line here, Naruto reasoned as he stood up. Not putting anyone on the line. I can't think of any Uzumaki that can do what you offered other than Kushina Namikaze, formerly Uzumaki. Are you saying that you are offering her to Kumo? Yugao was surprised at the information. She never knew Kushina Namikaze was related to Naruto in some way. I'm not saying that, Naruto roared back, punching Itachi in the process. I didn't offer her up. Then who? One of the twins. I sure as hell know that they can't do anything like that yet. Not them either. Then who? Me. Again a tense silence broke out between the group. You're offering yourself up, just to learn a stupid technique. Itachi growled. Think of it as you will, but I need to learn that move. Naruto stared at Itachi. You're playing a dangerous game here, Naruto. I know, but all I have to do is meet the requirements to win. Which is, make it to the finals. Again another silence reigned over the group. Damn it, Naruto, you are stupid, but it seems like you need my help again, Itachi sighed. I'm not happy about your decision, but I don't want to lose a friend. No matter how stupid he is. Naruto-san, don't make any more rash decisions, Yugao reprimanded him. I too don't want to see you leave through this. That is why our team will give it our all, not just for a promotion, but for you as well, idiot, Itachi said confidently. Guys. Thanks, Naruto said with a smile. Don't thank us yet, Itachi told him. The road you put us on is going to be long and hard. I know. Makoto-sama should not catch wind of this, you hear? The other two nodded. Good, let's head back. As they began to walk back, Yugao then just remembered something. Can you really do what you offered? Seal Biju and confine Jinchuriki? Yup. How do we know you're not lying? Because I used it once today, to catch our little guest. With A and Killer B. A went to a ceiling specialist to confirm what Naruto had put on him, which was unfortunately true. Only Naruto could take it off and it would explode if he didn't honor his end of the deal. That sneaky brat. A cursed under his breath. Next to him, B was laughing hard. Admit bro you've been had. Outfoxed by a young lad. B laughed. This is no laughing matter B. If this is how good the brat is, then we may have a problem. I may be the first Raikage to lose that technique to a brat outside of our own village. Don't make such a fuss, in the exams we have our own little genius. Oh yeah, the Raikage known as a nodded his head then. That is true, not only that Iowa seems to have sent a prodigy as well. A put on a pensive face before smiling, this year may just be the year of the super rookies, and while I may have been duped by one, I don't mind watching how things will pan out. Even for that Naruto brat.